Okay, let's start this podcast. All right, welcome to the podcast, the Colonel and Kid podcast. I am your host, Greg Heitman. Gregory L. Heitman, professionally, but you can call me Greg or Heitman, whatever you want to call me. And this podcast is based on the memoir of my grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel Edwin P. Hagen Jr. He was the colonel, and I am the kid in the memoir, and I like to get that straightened out right to begin with in the introduction of the podcast each week. And podcast is, the spine of the podcast is the memoir, and I have a reading from the memoir. Today's reading is going to be chapter 12 called The Fishing Trip, which is starting to, I think I talked about last time, which started to get more interesting to me. It had some sort of the background, the timeline, the early stuff, and now we're getting more of the hunting and fishing and sports stuff of the memoir, and it's getting good. Let me just say that. I'll put that out there and get started with that. And it's funny to me that this ends up being more of a continuation of my psychotherapy, as I call it. Writing this memoir is sort of my own just self-analysis of my life and how I related to my grandfather and the life lessons that are out there. And that's what I kind of turned it into, is say, if there's each chapter, try to put a little spin on it, saying how to have a better life and how my grandfather helped try to shape me and get me into just in a better position for living. So that's sort of what I'm trying to give back here in the memoir itself. So hopefully it's getting across a little bit somehow. I don't know. And for those of you watching the video, which I don't think anybody does, but it's the YouTube video of the podcast. I'm wearing a hat today, another hat, because that's become the tradition. And this one it's my cowboy hat. It's my George Strait cowboy hat. And it's a Resistol hat for straw hat for warm, I guess warm weather. We're still pretty warm down here, even for middle of November. So I feel I can still wear it. But I wanted to wear it because Landman season 2 debut last night. So lots of cowboy hats in that show, and I really recommend that show. That's one of the topics that in the near future I want to talk about is recommendations for watching on TV. The streaming services out there, there's just so many shows. It's hard to even know what to watch because there's just so much. The volume is just unbelievable. Just trying to find something to watch is a chore. So if nothing else, maybe I can do some filtering for you and make some recommendations in the near future. But right now, Landman, that's what I'm suggesting. If you haven't seen that, that's on Paramount Plus, and I have that in association with my Amazon Prime account. So they're kind of hooked up together, and that makes it pretty easy to watch. But of course, you have to pay a subscription fee for that. But Landman, it's Billy Bob Thornton. He's the star of the show, and it's Taylor Sheridan created and developed, written show. And he was the one that did Yellowstone, very popular show, series on TV. So I think it's got some pretty good connection there. So I recommend it. I think you'll get a kick out of it if you watch it. So Landman, and today's hat sponsored by Landman. Not sponsored. I'm sponsoring them, I guess. So anyway, I think the new format is I'm just going to read the chapter, get started with that, and then if you just want to bail out after the chapter's read into the record, then you can feel free to dismiss yourself from the podcast. Then I have some other stuff to talk about today, including the NFL update on a Monday. Excuse me. Hopefully my voice will last. Still seems like I'm struggling to maintain my voice during the podcast. I don't know. It's not like I'm talking that much. Otherwise, this is about the most talking I do. Anyway, for those watching, you can see me drinking some water, trying to get my throat therapeutically reset. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the reading, and we'll go from there. Once that's in the record, maybe expand upon that. And I don't know if I'll add some more stories or not, but I have some other subsections to talk about today, and we'll go through them. And at least one correction I wanted to add to the record. So we'll go ahead. Chapter 12 of the Colonel and the Kid memoir. And chapter 12 is the fishing trip. And per the usual, we start the beginning of the chapter with a quote. And today's quote is, quote, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime," end quote. And the attribution for this quote, I just kind of made up. And I said this quote is provided and said by every fisherman explaining the fishing trip to his or her spouse. So today's chapter 12, the fishing trip. When you grow up in the glacial lakes region of northeast South Dakota, you fish. Grandpa was a fisherman, and he was generous enough to share his skills with two of his grandsons on a day trip to Lake Traverse. I think I was about 5 years old, and that would make Grady about 8 at the time. I wonder where Grandpa got his patience and bravery to volunteer to deal with two young boys for an afternoon. He was a military man, so my guess is that an Army officer training put him in position to have the confidence the mission would need to be successful. So anyway, I add parenthetically here. So if I was 5 years old, it'd be about 1974. So we're talking mid-70s in northeast South Dakota. Grandpa was always right. I'm sure he had an idea that taking his grandsons for the afternoon would be an experience. It was a fishing trip that I've never forgotten. What more can a grandfather provide than a lifelong memory for a grandson? It was a minimal 10-mile drive from Siston to the fishing spot on the shore of Lake Traverse, a reservoir formed by the Army Corps of Engineers Dam on the Bois de Sioux River. It's a nice fishing lake on the South Dakota-Minnesota border, with a French connection built into the waterway's names. The scenario was just about perfect. A short drive to keep the attention of my 5-year-old imagination as visions of lunker fish were being reeled in as I sat beside Grandpa describing the potential of the afternoon while steering the truck down the highway. Before Grandpa could even get his chest waders donned, Grady had landed 2 nice fish on just a few casts. I'm pretty sure one was a perch, but I don't recall the other one. Maybe a bass? I think it could have been a sunfish. They were both, quote, panfish, as Grandpa would describe them, and explained. They fit in a frying pan, perfect for eating. With 2 fish already on the stringer, and being the little brother, I was set on catching fish just like Big Brother. However, when you're 5 years old, you have a lot of limitations to your skills, not to mention your questionable equipment. My rod and reel were more set up for standing on a dock and dropping the line in the water. Casting with the inexpensive reel and short rod was not conducive for a little kid standing on shore. Frustration set in as Grandpa got his waders on and was ready to start fishing. This is when the villain of my story entered stage right. Materializing from behind the tall grass near where Grandpa's Chevy Blazer was parked came a man. His name was Mel Ellis, and he was a friend of Grandpa's. Grandpa spoke to Mel a few moments, saying hello and exchanging pleasantries. It seems to me that Mel was in uniform of some sort. I'm not going to swear to that. I think he was dressed in the typical garb of an employee of the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks, and that's why he was in the area. Grandpa was ready to do some fishing for himself, and his conversation with Mel probably was a suggestion that Mel assist me in my fishing endeavors. Well, that kicked off the traumatic series of events that reside in the recesses of my mind. Elmer Fudd sans hunting cap is how my brain categorizes the visual representation of Mel Ellis. I don't think there was any malice involved in Mel's actions. He was just going to provide some assistance to a kid. Little did he know that what he was getting into. "Let me show you how it's done. We'll get your lure out there where the fish are," Mel said. I handed over my fishing pole with a bit of skepticism. But why wouldn't I let him help? I wanted to catch some fish like Grady. With the press of the button on the old Zebco reel and healthy swing of the arm and a flick of the wrist, I looked on as Mel attempted a cast. I used the word, quote, attempted, because the handle of the rod detached from the rest of the fishing rig mid-cast. The handle remained in Mel's hand, while everything else spiraled out into the lake. It was jaw-dropping for Mel and hilarious for Grandpa. I'm sure Grady was puzzled by the commotion and the big splash of the fishing rod in the open water. Me? I screamed and cried. That fishing rod was gone. It was a living nightmare. And I have the first photo of the chapter here, and I will post this on the YouTube video, and I'll read the caption here and then describe it. And this is Grandpa in his fishing waders at Lake Traverse circa 1985. So about 10 years later, I think Richard Hansen, Richard Hansen, Grandpa's brother-in-law, I think, took this photo, and it's out in the water. Grandpa's in his chest waders, I don't know, 25, 30 feet out from shore with his fishing rod and lake shore in the background and blue water. And it's just a great picture to me, as I see it anyway. And that's sort of how I remember Grandpa when I was a kid. I mean, obviously this was like approximately 10 years later after that had happened. That situation had happened of my fishing rod being thrown out in the water. And I thought this was a good picture to put in there, even though there's no existing pictures of that exact situation. But anyway, back to the chapter. Grandpa was up to the task. Already clad in his waders, he ventured out into the lake. Ever the jokester and one to tease and egg on the subject of attention, Grandpa couldn't resist a running commentary as he eased through the water. Just for my benefit, Grandpa would call out, oh boy, it's really rocky here. I don't know if I can make it. This, of course, would unleash a nice modulation of my screams of dismay. He edged out a little further and announced another issue. My knee is acting up. Of course, we knew he had a knee injury in the military, and he lived with that disability his whole life. But now he brought it up for my benefit. My wailing continued. I was inconsolable, much to the chagrin of poor Mel Ellis. Oh, geez, this water is getting deep, Grandpa called out as he approached the partially submerged fishing rod. It was one last chance for me to cry out in agony over the loss of my fishing rod. And I didn't disappoint. I was too young to know that Grandpa was teasing. It was all real to me. I was going to go home without a fishing rod. On top of that, Grady had caught some fish, and I wasn't even going to have a chance to show everybody that I could catch fish. All's well that ends well. Grandpa retrieved the fishing rod. And as far as my memory is served, that was the successful end of the story. We left Lake Traverse that day with a couple of fish and a story. I'm sure Mel Ellis had a great many conversations at dinner parties and the like, telling the story of the poor kid and the great fishing rod debacle. I'm not sure what the life lesson is here. Maybe there isn't any. It was just an activity that mimics the age-old formula of storytelling. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It also has a hero, a villain, an inciting event, a struggle, and a successful resolution. That's enough for me. It's a good story. So then I have a series of photos, and I'll put these up again, like on the YouTube, so you can see them. And the first one, I'll read the caption here and then describe a little bit. And caption reads, I like the effort that went into this photo. The mouth of the walleye propped open with a toothpick, the string tied to the dorsal fin to fully unfurl it, and the golf ball for a size reference. I'm going to say this photo is circa 1958. So there's a nice walleye. It's on the countertop of the, looks like a kitchen, somebody's kitchen. And there's a piece of wood behind it, kind of for, I guess, to show the fish a little better from blending into the background. But then it's got a string tied to the dorsal fins and it's stretched out, and other end of the string's tied to the board, I guess, so you can see the dorsal fin sticking up like that. And Mouth is wide open, and it's a big walleye. And then there's another fish, a picture of a fish, the walleye that my grandpa's holding up. My grandpa's really smiling, and I'll read the caption here. Grandpa with a big walleye. This is a great photo with Grandpa smiling, happy to show off his lunker. Photo 1958, circa 1958. And Grandpa's holding it up about chest high, and he's looking at the camera with a big smile on his face. And fish's mouth is open, kind of. Well, it's as I look at it, the fish's head's on the left side, and it's I don't know how long that thing is. It must be about I don't know 24-inch long walleye. I'm guessing. I don't know. My grandpa's got kind of a heavier jacket. It must have been spring or fall. It was just must have been pretty cool when they're out fishing. And here's another picture of a fish and a goose. And I'll read the caption. I wanted to include this photo of a nice walleye and a Canada goose. That must have been a special heck of a day. I'm sorry I never got to hear the story. It must have been special if Grandpa captured the memory of the photo circa 1960. And it's just a photo looking. The fish is on some papers down on the floor, and still attached to the stringer. And then there's a Canada goose just on the linoleum or whatever it is. Must be the kitchen slash dining room floor. It looks like there's some table legs or chair legs there in part of the photo. And I'm not even I have no idea why I said circa 1960. That's just a guess. Maybe it was around some other photos that I had better clue of what the date had been, but I don't know. It's the fish looks like it's about as long as the newspaper, so it's a nice size walleye. And then finally, I'll read the caption here and then describe it. Another classic grandpa photo, stoically holding up this mammoth walleye. This is a great photo because Grandpa's still clad in his chest waders, kneeling in the kitchen. This might be the fish that still holds a place of honor on the wall. At least part of him does. I believe the head of this fish is preserved and on a plaque that hangs on a basement wall at Grady's house. More on that taxidermy fish later. So, Grandpa's got his vinyl chest waders on, and he's got like a green shirt, sweatshirt maybe, or some sort of heavier jacket / shirt, and he's holding a very, very large walleye. I don't know how big that thing is. I wish I had some more details on it. How much it weighed and how long it is. It's kind of saggy. He's holding it up, and the fish's head is on the left side of the photo as I'm looking at it, and its big belly's hanging kind of down in the center, and my grandpa's left hand is on towards the tail, and it's kind of the weirdest thing is it looks like my grandpa's wearing nail polish. I don't think it's just a reflection of the photo, the flash of the photo, and Grandpa's not smiling at all. He's just staring back at the camera, just very seriously. And he's got a kind of a weird, I don't want to say weird. It looks like almost like a baseball cap. It's this nondescript black cap, kind of maybe a little bit askew on his head. And it's in the kitchen, although pretty sure that's the Spruce Street House kitchen in Siston, South Dakota. And then I really like the toaster in the background. Toaster has got a cover on it with like a rooster pattern cover, cloth cover on I think it's a toaster, but it's a good picture. Very clear, very, very sharp, especially as I go on to the next picture, which is nowhere near as good. It's probably half the age of that image, but I'll read the caption here and then describe the picture. A successful fishing trip to Pigger's Dam for Grady, Garrett, and Greg, with my dad, Gary, taking the photo, circa 1983. So I don't remember this that well, but we had some really nice big perch and a couple bullheads on a stringer, and Grady's holding one end of the stringer, and I'm holding the other end of the stringer, and Garrett's in the middle between us, and he has apparently he's wearing some weird t-shirt that's been cut off. So he has like a bare midriff, a bare belly, and he's got his arms folded and he's looking at the camera very smiley. We're all smiling. Yeah, it's 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 very weird. 1983, and Grady's got a Groton varsity football t-shirt on, and I got my classic sweat top from. I had a pair of sweat pants and sweat zips, sweat jacket, sweat uniform, or track uniform, I guess, track warm-ups, and I'm wearing a yellow t-shirt, and it's taken out in the garage, and you can see tennis rackets kind of hanging on the left side of the picture image, and there's the pegboard tool holder in the background there with all the tools, and in the back shelf behind us, just above our head, I think there's a bunch of shotgun shells on that shelf. Classic photo. Summertime fishing trip out to Piggers Dam. Was about 10 miles from Groton, where we grew up, Groton, South Dakota. And then finally, the last picture of the chapter, I'll read the caption, then describe it. I think this photo is circa 1982, with Grady, Garrett, and Greg, with Dad again photographing a successful ice fishing adventure on the James River, probably Tacoma Park. And you can see, it's funny. I don't know, maybe it's 2 years younger, but so maybe it's 1981. I think it's 1982 though, because I'm of course I'm on the right side of the photo as we're looking at it, and I'm wearing a Jones hunting cap. The perfect example we talked about last time, the Jones hunting cap, camouflage. And we're in the basement this time, basement of the Groton house, and Grady's on the left side holding part of the stringer, and I look like I'm really struggling to hold up this stringer too. And I don't know how many fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, maybe more. Big northern pike. They're probably at least 18 to 24-inch northern pike that we caught up and through the ice up there. And I got like a thermal underwear, white long sleeve thermal shirt on, and pretty sure Garrett's got a Minnesota Vikings sweatshirt on, and Grady's wearing a Cardinals training camp number 32 t-shirt. And it's a classic photo. We're all smiling. I think I have braces on my teeth at this point, so that'd be interesting to go back. It's probably 1982, like the photo caption says. But anyway, check them out on YouTube video podcast if you want to see the photo itself. And that's the end of the chapter. And of course, we close out the chapter with a quote. And this quote is from Stephen Wright. I'll say that up front. Stephen Wright, comedian, deadpan comedian. And I'll go ahead and read it like Stephen Wright would say it. This is deadpan style. Quote, "There's a fine line between fishing and just standing on the shore like an idiot." End quote. So anyway, that's today's chapter for the Colonel and the Kid memoir. And really, really enjoyed that. Remembering that chapter when I wrote it, and still reading about it now, how that's just seared into my memory. These certain memories just get burned into your mind, and just, it's so weird. As a 5-year-old, you're just traumatized by your fishing rod being thrown out right in front of your face into the water. Like, oh yeah, that's it. That baby's gone. So good times. And look, I'll just mention the next chapter, chapter 13, the Baker's Dozen, or Unlucky 13. This is this chapter is called The Den, and this has starts getting into real just my cherished memories of my grandpa's just den and his stuff that he had there. And look forward to reading that later this week. I think I'm get the plan is to get 2 chapters done this week, and so I have to do another podcast because I haven't made my football picks because we haven't even finished the whole week because it's Monday because we have a Monday night football game yet. So we'll plan on getting another podcast probably Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see how it goes and getting chapter 13 read into the record. And anyway, well, I'll release to anybody that doesn't want to be caught up in the rest of the podcast. So you have this Colonel and the Kid memoir chapter is in the books, and get that up published today. And thanks for hanging in there with me. And we'll get to the rest of the podcast now for those that stick with me. And I guess I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to the NFL update because I have to, I just, I, I have to rant a little bit again about NFL football and what it's becoming. It's so disappointing to hear about this stuff and then be a part of it. And actually I pay for the NFL ticket through YouTube TV, and I'm actually paying extra money to suffer through this stuff because the NFL has a real problem with their officiating. And last night, the Sunday night game, their premier event for the NFL each week. I think if you look at the statistics for TV, like the Nielsen ratings and anything like that, I believe the top shows, probably the top TV shows each year, are the Sunday night football games on NBC. At the top rated, most viewed TV shows. And last night it was Detroit playing at Philadelphia, Lions at the Eagles, and it was a terrible game. I guess it was kind of maybe a little cold, a little breezy, but there was hardly any offense. It was really boring. And the Eagles got ahead, and they pulled ahead, and right at the end there was a chance where Detroit, if they stopped the Eagles and make them punt, they would have had to score a touchdown and kick the extra point to tie it. And there was a terrible call, which gave the Eagles a first down. It was a pass interference call, defensive pass interference on Detroit cornerback. And the announcer for NBC, the play-by-play guy is Mike Tirico, but the color analyst is Chris Collinsworth, and he was just ranting. This is a terrible call. And it was it shouldn't have been a penalty, but it basically ended the game on a penalty. And I just can't help thinking that this has just become more and more entertainment than competition. And it's all about the money. Seemed like they wanted to finish up the game because it was getting closer to 9:30 Mountain Time, 11:30 East Coast time, so that it's so disappointing to have no accountability for it. When the announcer, who's affiliated with the NFL, is very critical, and he goes off and basically said that just determined the game. The officials determine the outcome of the game. At least let them have a chance to play it out and see what happens. But I just can't help thinking we're moving more and more towards the professional wrestling type sport, if you want to call it that, where there's a script involved and everything's got to be brought down to predetermined situations, and everything's about making sure you get your commercials in so your sponsors are satisfied and they get their money back. If there's not enough viewers or anything, it's so frustrating to watch and for me to be a part of. And then I tag this along with my frustration and my venting about ESPN, ESPN under the Disney family, and the problems they were having with YouTube TV, which is my TV provider. And ESPN is back now. They got back. I don't know when it was. I think they were back in time for Saturday football games, but they were having a dispute for a week or whatever it was, where all the ESPN channels and Disney affiliated channels were pulled from YouTube TV, and YouTube TV comes out and says, "Oh, we're going to provide a $20 credit for everybody." But what they were going to do is they were going to make you proactively go and claim your credit. They weren't just going to automatically apply it to everyone's bill. You had to go in and press a button, click on your computer. They was going to send you an email. You got to click on the button and accept that you were going to get your $20 credit towards your bill. And I thought, what kind of business model? This is all coming back to what the old saying about if you ever have a question, the answer is money, and it just is. It's just I looked it up, and it's according to Google. So, what if you want to believe Google or not? YouTube TV has approximately 10 million subscribers. So, what does that mean when you give a $20 credit to every subscriber? That's $200 million. I mean, this is the amount of money we're talking about. They're just going to throw back $200 million like nothing to their subscribers. But at the same time, they're going to make you jump through a hoop to get your $20. And maybe, let's just say half those people they don't claim that $20. So that's just $100 million back in the pocket of YouTube TV, which is, it's under the Google company. Mm, that's the company that owns YouTube TV is Google. So it's just disappointing to, I guess for me, I don't know why I'm so disappointed. I guess I'm still naive. Maybe I'm just too naive to be living in this world where the greed, that kind of greed is just so unbelievable to me that they just throw around $200 million like nothing. But here they are just torturing people by not getting what you paid for. You signed up for a service and then they don't provide it. And then they don't want to, refund your money for not providing what they said they were going to provide. It seems so backwards. It's living like in I guess, Alice in Wonderland world where things are just completely opposite of what they should be or what they could be. What do they say? There's a famous quote that they mock about. Oh, we're through the looking glass, people. So things are just reflected opposite of what they should be when you're looking at it. And it's again, this is my own naive venting of my own frustration of being a part of this because you know what I could do? I could just unsubscribe from all this stuff and not be a part of it anymore. But again, it's like what they do. It's like a drug. It's like you're you're drug addicted, but instead of the drug, it's technology and TV, entertainment. So no one to blame but the person I'm looking at now in the video camera reflection of the what's going to be my YouTube video of this podcast. So anyway, I'm sorry to go on complaining about this. And the biggest problem I have is that there's no accountability. There's nothing even being talked about today in some of the sports podcasts that I like to listen to and sports reporting about that pass interference and how that literally determined the outcome of a game. The primetime game, the featured game of the week, basically for that business, the NFL Incorporated, making billions of dollars a year. That's their flagship program of the week, and it's like not even acknowledged. It's like, I mean, if they come out and say, "Yeah, we made a mistake. We're working hard to correct this." Nope. It's like just pretend it didn't happen. Pretend like Chris Collinsworth didn't just totally badmouth the whole production of the end of the game. I mean, Chris Collinsworth, I mean, he has some credibility, whether you like him or not. I tend to not like him because I guess maybe just I've outgrown, familiarity breeds contempt, that old saying that I've just gotten tired of hearing him and his stories and his weird inflections, and I don't know, I would like to see someone else get a try to do that announcing, but anyway, I agree with him in this case too. I mean, he had a great reaction to that end of the ball game, and I don't know. I feel bad because I'll never get that time back in my life. Wasted those 2.5, 3 hours of watching that game for no reason. So that's the football update for now. Um, I will. I guess I won't. I'm not going to go over the. I, well, let me go over the games we've had so far and give you my record on the week, which isn't not too bad. I was 10-4 so far. There's one game left, and it's the Cowboys at Raiders. So I could end up with 11 wins and 4 losses on the week. And so far, I'm 109 and 53, 67% on the year, which, I'm shooting for 70%, but at that, even with the rounding, I'm still stuck at 67%, same as last week, even though I went 10-4 on the week. So there's pretty much no chance I'm going to get to 70%, which I was hoping to do. But, so we had Jets at Patriots. That was Thursday night football. Got that W. That was an easy win. Redskins at sorry. Redskins at Dolphins in Spain. I got that win. Dolphins. That game went into overtime, I think, too, and that was not a good game. I saw some of that. That was like started at 7:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 a.m. Not really ready to watch football at that time for me. Oh, Panthers at the Falcons. The Falcons. I picked the Falcons and they lost. They're just a terrible team. They win some games sometimes. I was just random. I mean, the NFL is so random. You might as well just flip a coin. Buccaneers at Bills. I picked the Bills. They won. Texans at Titans. Texans won. I picked them. Titans are the worst team in the league. I've been saying that all year. I think they still are the worst team. That was a close game, but the Texans still beat the worst team. And the Buccaneers, I mentioned I picked the Bills to beat the Buccaneers up in Buffalo. That was a good game. That was a shootout. Highly entertaining, but I was watching the Vikings. It was on the same time as the Bears at Vikings. And I picked the Vikings. Picked with my heart, not my head. And the Vikings are not a good team. And the Bears beat the Vikings in the last second field goal. And I'm really kind of down after watching that game because I just think that the Vikings may have made a big mistake with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. He's in his second year, so you're halfway through the second year of his contract, and he's only played 5 games. And that's one of the big keys, I think, is to find a quarterback, and you got him for 5 years at a really reasonable rate under that rookie contract. So then you can try to build around that, so you can pay a lot of your other money that you have for your salary cap to other players to build around that before you have to pay, $50 million a year for a quarterback. So I think that this experiment is going to fail with J.J. McCarthy. I just don't think he's accurate enough as an NFL quarterback. So I'm really kind of melancholy about the Vikings' chances for the next, 3 or 4 years here. It just could be just a waste of time unless they can make a quicker, pull the trigger quicker on that decision of whether they want to stick with J.J. McCarthy or not. So I don't know. I won't dwell on that and bore you with my much needed psychotherapy about my NFL affiliation and my favorite team and what they should be doing and how they need to complete tear down and rebuild. And I have no faith in their general manager, who's I can't think of his Kwesi something Mensa, and I think he's the opposite of what Mensa stands for. We're supposed to be like a society of geniuses, high IQ, but this This guy's last name is Mensa, and he's not Mensa material as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, Packers at Giants. I picked the Packers, and Packers did win. Bengals at Steelers. I picked the Steelers. Steelers won, and the old man Aaron Rodgers looks like he broke his wrist, so he might be out for a while. But I was looking at him, and just looking, he looks like he's so old. He looks like he's probably like, if I was to just guess, I'd say he looks like he's 60, in his early 60s. And so I had mentioned that to Angela because they showed him on some halftime highlight, and she said, "Yeah, it looks." He must have lost weight because his face kind of so thin and wrinkly because probably the weight loss. So that maybe ages your look or your complexion just because of the wrinkles show up because you lost, some of the fatty tissue in your face. And so I told her, I said, "Remind me not to lose weight so I don't look old. I'll look young forever with my big fat face." So anyway, there's a beauty tip for you all you vain people out there. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. So don't listen to me. I have no beauty tips, obviously. Just looking at me. Although I do look pretty cool with this cowboy hat. I'm digging it. I'm digging my own image on this video podcast today. So I hope you're enjoying it because I have several other cowboy hats I can wear in the future. I think maybe that's going to be maybe that'll be my podcasting hat in the future. Just strictly cowboy hats. Although I did like my cavalry officer hat that I wore. That was was that the first time? I think that was the first one. Then I wore the coonskin cap, or did I wear them? I don't know. I'm wearing lots of hats. They say, it's like a um, jack of all trades, master of none. I have a lot of hats, and I guess maybe I can play a lot of different characters. My true calling was acting. Put on the hat and act. I don't even have to act because this makes me a cowboy. So not a Dallas Cowboy. No, 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 I'm getting ahead. So Chargers at Jaguars. I picked the Chargers to win this game, and the Jaguars beat them so soundly. I think it was like 35-10. And it was just like, how how do I even evaluate teams? And I think there's no understanding what injuries and what the front lines and the offense and defensive lines are going through and what injuries they have and who's missing. If you're not studying this completely to that level, you're just kind of looking more superficially at wins and losses and seeing maybe what skill players are doing, how they're available. I don't think you can make proper evaluations on guessing who's going to win or not. So Chargers, Chargers have no chance. I would just say, even if they do make the playoffs, I just cannot see them doing anything in the playoffs. Same for even the Bears. The Bears are leading the North division now in the NFC, and they are just not a good team. And I guess maybe that's my conclusion for this whole thing is that there are no good teams in the league this year. I think we have the Eagles, which they're a fine team. They're winning quite a bit, but I think they could just lose at any time. On the next game, Seahawks at the Rams. I picked the Rams at home, and they had a good battle with the Seahawks. Rams won. I got that one correct. But Sam Darnold, the quarterback for the Seahawks, threw 4 interceptions. Yet the Seahawks still had a chance to win it with a last-second field goal. They had a 61-yard field goal, missed it badly, but they would have won if they would have made that. Even with the guy throwing 4 interceptions, it's like, man, their defense is pretty good. But Sam Darnold reverting to the mean of his career, he's just not a good pressure quarterback. He just cannot handle that. I guess that anxiety that comes with the strict competition of time and quality opponents. It's just it's hard to watch. I feel sorry for him because he's just not that guy. I mean, you look at guys that rise to that occasion and are able to win. Obviously, Tom Brady over time that he did it many, many times, and you see how rare it is in actual people, athletes. So anyway, 49ers at Cardinals. 49ers just trounced the Cardinals. And I I did see what they say that Jacoby Brissett had set a record for most completions ever in an NFL game with 47, and they still lost by like 25 points, something like that. That was a debacle. And the Ravens at Browns, um, got that one right. Got W. Browns are just not a good team. Their starting rookie quarterback got hurt. They brought in Shadur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, at quarterback, and he was terrible. The Ravens defense has turned it up. They're looking okay, but Lamar Jackson's got something wrong with him. He just is not the same athlete slash quarterback he used to be. It's kind of sad to watch him maybe sliding down. I mean, just never going to be the same quarterback he once was. Maybe that's what they say. Father Time, undefeated, catches up to everyone. Chiefs at the Broncos. I had picked the Chiefs. I thought they were going to do it, but um, they lost. I think the Chiefs' little run, little dynasty has come to an end. I can actually picture them not making the playoffs, and that would be shocking. And again, Broncos looking pretty tough. I think the Broncos might have the best record, 9-2. Maybe they're tied with Philadelphia and the Rams. So there's that upper echelon: Rams, Philadelphia, Broncos. Three teams that I could see going far in the playoffs and having, I guess for me, not an interesting Super Bowl potential there. I don't really care for any of those teams. And then finally, tonight's game, Cowboys at Raiders. I'm picking Cowboys. Don't care. I feel sorry for them. Again, that my comment on the Cowboys is I don't like them, but I think the league is better when they're good, and you have that team to cheer against, sort of like the New York Yankees. Baseball is always better when the Yankees are good because you have that attention grabber. Either love them or hate them. You're going to watch them cheer. So you're going to cheer against them or cheer for them. There's no in between about. Oh, I don't care about them. So that's the NFL update, and we'll get my picks up later this week. And I'm like way behind because usually I look ahead and look at the games for the upcoming week, which would be week 12 in the NFL. Usually I look at them on Sunday night. I never did it last night. I just kind of like spaced it out while I was watching the game, I guess. So a lot of studying to do so I can get those picks in. But that's it. That's it for the NFL. Well, I guess other than the bye teams for last week, Indianapolis Colts and New Orleans Saints had byes. So I think we're getting to the time where there's no more byes left too. So could be interesting. Should be interesting. So, I do have a little a music update I wanted to go through real quick, and that is I have a correction to the soundtrack for Long Hollow, and let me there's the Long Hollow book for you people watching. Well, the Long Hollow poster, that's the poster of the cover of the book, and here's the actual book. I'll hold that up for Long Hollow. Again, marketing for my works series of Charlie LeBeau mysteries. This was the first one, and I was talking about last week. The last podcast, I had a big segment about creating a soundtrack for each of these stories, and then I mentioned the a song and their artist in the book at some point, and I talk about it like, well, it's so and so walks into the diner and it's playing on the jukebox or something like that. And one of the songs that I had, I don't know where I got the list from, the original list, but the original list had an error in it. Well, it had 2 errors, and I corrected the one about the song title that was "Return to Innocence" by Enigma, and I had "The End of Innocence" by Enya, which is totally wrong title and totally wrong artist, and I had them duplicated in the soundtrack. But the song that I missed, and it's a big important song because it's early in the book, and, the song is "Smoky Mountain Rain" by Ronnie Millsap. It's from 1980. Hmm, excuse me. Get a drink of water here. But anyway, so the song "Smoky Mountain Rain," I have a reference in it, and I know that the Charlie LeBeau's nephew is he becomes the caretaker for his nephew because, Charlie's, um Charlie's sister's died, so then that's the son of of his sister, so that he becomes caretaker, and he picks his nephew up from school, and they're listening to the song "Smoky Mountain Rain" comes on the radio by Ronnie Millsap, and, the way it is that the nephew explains that, yeah, this was a song that his mom used to sing the words. She altered the words and used to sing "South Dakota Rain" instead of "Smoky Mountain Rain," and references, instead of, getting the truck was on its way to Gatlinburg with the 3 syllables, that he changed it to Aberdeen, so it's a town in South Dakota, so that it was sort of one of the bigger song I can't believe I missed that in my in my soundtrack list when I was going through those songs, and it's a good song, really good song, I think, for a country song. Got that '80s sound. Again, it's like a transition from the classic country from the '60s and '70s. In the '80s, there's just more it's transitioning, and now it's the modern country songs that are I don't like as much. They're country rock, so I don't know. I do have an affinity for that song, and Ronnie Milsap had a lot of songs. And supposedly I looked it up, and according to Wikipedia, if you can believe Wikipedia, that, Ronnie Millsap he wanted a song he liked the Elvis song, "Cold Kentucky Rain," with similar words, similar theme that and so I guess these guys that wrote the song, which I don't remember who they were, it wasn't Ronnie Millsap. He wasn't a songwriter, he was an artist, but supposedly it said that Ronnie Millsap played piano on Elvis's Elvis Presley's "Cold Kentucky Rain," but I doubt that that's true because I don't think Ronnie Millsap was any great shakes at playing piano. He played piano, but I don't think he was a session musician and recording precisely what they need for the studio work like that. So I don't know. Don't know how far I would trust that story about Ronnie Millsap playing on Elvis's song. But what I found interesting, and if you can believe this too, I don't know. Maybe I'm skeptical, but according to Rolling Stone magazine, out of the 200 all-time country songs, this was number 115 out of 200. So pretty good, if that's true. So that's my part of the music update. And I've been trying to work in here, and I'll do it today. As part of the music update is I saw this artist known as Role Model, ROLEMODEL. That's what his moniker is. I saw him on Saturday Night Live, and I was actually thought, "Hey, he had a good song." I don't, I don't remember what the song was that he sang, but it was a little catchy. It was kind of like a pop country song, almost a little bit. I don't know if he's considered country at all or not, but I don't know his real name, or what songs he have. I did look him up and place them on YouTube. So I mean, I've been stunted in my musical um, listening pretty much, but I was surprised and pleasantly surprised that SNL Saturday Night Live actually had a musical artist that was decent, and was like eye opening to me. There's and revealing that there's actually some decent music out there. So Role Model, if you haven't heard of him, um, look him up. Not too bad. At least the one song. But I wish I wish I've written it down. There's something about when the wine runs out. I can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway, Role Model, and I don't. I guess he was a. I think what I read about him, he was a rapper, and they turned more of into more of a singer. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Maybe you'll appreciate that little tip on potential some music you can listen to. So going back to the list of subsections and things I've been trying to, my recurring themes and stuff I like to talk about. One of them I heard the other day that for my abusive language topic, and I I don't like this phrase, and I don't like where it's gone or where it's going or what happened to it. And the phrase that you hear something, oh, the jig is up, and I was doing some research to see what it actually means because, like, like it really is based on, it's like, well, people are on to us, we got to get out of here, got to get away. And apparently, back in the, I don't know, early 1600s, 1700s, I don't know, 1800s, where the jig was a prank or something. So if people caught on to the prank, people would say, "Oh, the jig is up," and they would try to stop it and get away and anything like that. But hmm, what I hear people saying today is they say the gig is up. It's like it's not gig, it's jig. So I mean, I don't know where it just bugs me when I hear people say that and misuse that, and I don't know. Maybe I'm easily bothered in my older age now about stuff, but do not say the gig is up if you're talking about if people are onto you or your deception has been found out, whatever it is, and you're joking around. So, oh, the gig is up. And I don't know, it's jig. The jig is up. So please correct yourself. Stop abusing language. So anyway, got that off my chest. I feel much more relieved. And today is a big day because I'm introducing a new topic. This has been coming. It's been in the works for, I mean, not since the beginning of the podcast because it should have been, but it wasn't. And I will start with the first one. And the name of this topic is "Look What I Found." And this is a totally new topic. And I'm sorry if you can't see the video podcast, but look what I found. I'm holding this up. This is an item that I found. I found this earlier this year when I was bear hunting. This is an elk antler, a shed elk antler. It's not big. It's very small by elk antler standards of people that actually collect them. But I found this when I was just walking around bear country, and, and it's a pretty good topic for a pretty good subject for look what I found. And part of it was the plan is I'm going to give this to my neighbor. I'm going to gift this to him just for some decorative. If he wants it, maybe he doesn't even want it. He can just put it outside in his rock garden or whatever. Or keep it inside. I don't know. It's kind of a little bit weathered. I don't know how long it was out there. I bet it's out there at least a couple years. It's kind of been nibbled down by rodents. They'll eat antlers to get some of their stray minerals and supplements that they need for healthier lives. This tip, and I think a couple of these tips have been eaten by squirrels and mice and whatever. They just chew on them, gnaw them down. They gnaw their teeth down because the rodent's teeth they keep growing, so you have to chew stuff. Anyway, it's a pretty cool thing that I found. So I'll put that aside. And actually, the thing that inspired this was actually this right here. I'm holding it up, and I took a photo of this and I'll put it in the YouTube video maybe, so you can get a little more detailed picture of it. So as I hold it up here, and what this is for those people that aren't watching, it's like a baseball card, except a it's like a it, it's a card. It's got a picture of a physicist on it. So they have the packs of cards with that are physicists, and I mean, what could be more appropriate for New Mexico, land of the Los Alamos labs where they developed a nuclear bomb and in total secrecy for World War II in the middle of nowhere, hidden up there. And so they have this guy, and this guy's name was Paul A.M. Dirac. And I'll read the back here. Conventional physics doesn't apply at the subatomic level. There, quantum physics takes over. Paul A.M. Dirac, 1902 to 1984, won a Nobel Prize for helping bridge the two realms. Plus, he predicted the existence of positrons. So this guy has a trading card, and I say, look what I found, because I found this on my driveway. I guess the wind blowing it in there and it's been run over a few times. So kind of, I don't know if you can kind of see the texture. I'll hold it, I'll turn it in the light here so that you can kind of see. We're still a little bit pockmarked and from being run over on the street, but it landed up on my driveway, and I picked it up. And I'm sure if Angela listens to this podcast, she'll be like, "Oh, gross! Why are you touching stuff that's just on the ground and in the street?" And it's like, it's what I do. I find things and pick them up. And because this is the special edition of Look What I Found. We have multiple things of Look What I Found. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a hockey puck. And my grandpa Heitman, my dad's dad, he lived in Britain, South Dakota, and he would walk downtown and he'd play pinochle when he was retired at the senior center or whatever it was he was playing. But there used to be a hockey rink near Main Street, and then he'd walk down Main Street because he lived on Main Street. He'd walk downtown, then come back, and he used to he'd find hockey pucks that had gone stray from the hockey rink many years ago. And I don't know how many hockey pucks I had in my collection, but I obviously take after my grandpa Heitman, where you just pick stuff up that you find on the street and bring them home. And this is a official Cooper hockey puck. And on the side, and it won't show up, I'm sure, but it says made in Czechoslovakia. And on the other side, it says official. So now Czechoslovakia doesn't exist. It's two countries, like Czech and Slav. They're totally different countries, but back in the early 80s, I think when he found this, they were one country. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool association of things that, in the realm of look what I found. And I guess in this case, look what I found. I found something that my grandpa found, and now I found it in my stuff, and now I'm showing it to you. So this is like a squared, look what I found squared. And finally, for Look What I Found section today, here we have my license plate from my truck that I took off my truck when I moved to South Dakota for 2 years. And I just found this in my stuff. So this is my New Mexico license. I really like the classic New Mexico license plate too. This is the bright yellow background, same as the New Mexico state flag, and then the red lettering, and then it says in green, Land of Enchantment, and then it's got the, like, I guess Navajo rug type geometrics at the top in green. Really, those are just classic. And of course, the yucca way down here in the bottom, as if you're watching, you can see I'm pointing to the yucca plant in green at the bottom. And then smack dab in the middle, much like the yellow flag for the state of New Mexico, they have the Zia symbol between this one was, my license was 781 TBC. And in between the letters and numbers, there's this little, they call it the Zia symbol, which is like a sun with little 4 rays in the top, 4 rays in the bottom, and 4 rays east and west on the side to side, left and right. So it's kind of a really I really like this, and, again, I'm sorry to keep complaining about stuff, but New Mexico has I don't know, there's probably I would not be surprised if there's 100 different types of styles of license plates that you can get in New Mexico. I just cannot stand all the different styles, different types. There's wildlife, they have the black background with the it says Chili Capital of the World. They have the turquoise license plate, which I had in a car for a while. But I like the traditional yellow, that the original. It's like Coca-Cola Classic. Why would you ever want anything else other than the original, the best, the classic yellow, red, and green. That's it. Then we got the sticker. The sticker's silver, with that's distracting, but that's for the administrative and police side of things, where you have to have the updated registration sticker. But yellow, red, and green for New Mexico, perfect. Don't mess with it. Yet they have, and they've just angered me beyond. I mean, beyond reason, for no reason. I don't know. They just why do we need all this stuff? And every state's trying to do that. They try to one up everything. Oh, let's get this color combination. I don't know. I don't like it. And I don't think you'll ever convince me otherwise. That's a good idea to have different things, because you can't even. It's really neat in Santa Fe, New Mexico, especially because there's a lot of tourists that come through. And in the old days, you could you could basically tell what state somebody's from right away just by looking at their license plate. Oh yeah, that's whatever, California. I remember back in the old days, California had like the dark blue and the yellow lettering, and that was obviously California, a really cool license plate. And trying to think of anything else other just real easy standout license plates. And nowadays, you have no idea. There's so many. Every state has all the kinds of different combinations. Unless you're looking 10 feet away from it, you can't even tell what state it is. So, anyway, if I was in charge, we'd fix that problem right away. You get one license plate, then everyone knows which state you're from just by looking at that. Yep, you're from New Mexico. So, anyway, I will stop talking about that. And I think that's probably all I wanted to talk about today. We got I no, I'm gonna end on the uh, speaking of license plates, and look what I found. We're gonna bleed right into look what I found license plate edition into license to podcast. And this is what I talk about, a personalized license plate that I've seen recently, and I have a picture of. So I'll show the picture, of course, on my I'll put it into the YouTube video podcast part. But I got a picture. It was at dark. This is down at Tomosita's restaurant, my personal favorite restaurant for Santa Fe. I was down there, and I happened to see this. It was a Nevada license plate on a Toyota 4Runner, and it was a personalized plate that said "Our UFO." So on the license plate is this OUR space UFO, and I thought that was a good one for Nevada and the Area 51, supposedly where UFO technology exists. They're studying it, using it. So that was a good one. And of course, we have our own UFO supposed crash in Roswell, New Mexico. So we have the competing interests of UFO, unidentified flying objects, related to Nevada versus New Mexico. So I just thought that was pretty neat, and good license plate. I really appreciated seeing that. Good creativity there. People from Nevada, great job. So anyway, I think I'll wrap it up. So see you next time. We don't say goodbye, we say see you next time. And of course, in the realm of writing books and everything, we we make you are the hero of your story. So I put it on you to stay positive, take action, It's up to you. You decide. Be proactive, be glass half full, of course. Um, there's I guess the refrain that I'll put in here is be assertive, be positive, be proactive. And finally, you take action. You, you be the decider. Um, I'll close with this, of course. This is the closing, couple closing lines that I like. Knock, and the door will be open to you. Seek, and you will find. Ask, and you shall be given. And with that, see you next time on the Colonel and the Kid podcast.